actually 6 days ahead of the CFL season opener next Thursday. Ticats at Blue Bombers. Friday, BC Lions at the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Of course, can we get Dunk on the screen here and bring him in from 3downnation.com? How you doing, JD? It's been far too long. Far too long, man.
Way too long, fellas. What we got a season talking about? I got to first say, boys, enough drooling over your own teams, the Cowboys and the Titans. Neither of them are winning the Super Bowl, okay?
Okay. Smart guy. Who's going to the Super Bowl? Who's going to the Super Bowl and winning it?
There's only one answer. The Buffalo. Hey.
Little early in the day to be drinking, isn't it? Anyways, final cut down day, 10 p.m. Eastern tonight is the CFL final roster cut down, and some teams are ahead of the game. We're still waiting on others. But how about the vets being released, Justin, across the Canadian Football League? There's been some names that surprised me. How about you?
Certainly. Well, Shawn Lemon and Vontae Diggs topped the list, who we had the news first at 3 Down Nation about those two. Now, I'm sure there's going to be other ones that come out, but Vontae Diggs was a surprise because he was Edmonton's most outstanding rookie in 2019, a proven commodity as a young player, and we already have the news that he's going to move to the Toronto Argos, and people are already saying, well, the cap, and they're way over. Well, the cap doesn't start until the regular season begins, okay? So just cool it for a second. Shawn Lemon, to me, was surprising in the fact that, yes, the Elks are going with two Canadians at the defensive end spots in Kwaku Boateng and Matthew Betts, but you need a proven American there as a pass rusher. Shawn Lemon has 70 sacks on his resume, maybe even more. I'm just remembering that number off the top of my head. So a guy that's on the street, but that can come into a team in a 14-game shortened season and instantly get after the quarterback. And 70% of the plays in this league, Rod, are passing plays. So you need dudes who can get after the pass.
For sure, and I'm just wondering how many of these guys you think will resurface. For instance, you saw the interview with Kenny Stafford that we had on the show this week, and thank you for the coverage at 3 Down. He said he was expecting a call. He didn't get it. Some of these guys have not. I'm hearing that some might end up in Saskatchewan, Thad Coleman, Chris Kasher, but they haven't yet. How many? Like, is Shawn Lemon's phone going to ring, you think, this weekend?
I would imagine those guys that you just mentioned right there. Thad Coleman, a possibility to get signed once all the cuts are made. Also, Chris Kasher, he's a young dude that a lot of people thought his star was rising. And Shawn Lemon, I could see getting signed as well, especially if there's some injuries that happened early in the season for all of that group. Saskatchewan should certainly be interested in all three of those players because they're trying to find a guy opposite AC Leonard. Yes, they really like him. They thought Tim Williams, the former third-round pick of the Baltimore Ravens, was going to be that guy, but he got bit by that Achilles bug that seems to be raging there in Saskatchewan. So certainly I can see a fit there with the way they're playing that 40 front, so 4 down linemen, have AC Leonard on one side and Chris Kasher or Shawn Lemon on the other.
Condolences to the family of Sid Spiegel, who passed away. The announcement was this morning from the Canadian Football League, co-owner of the Montreal Alouettes. I think it's classy, the outpouring from the fan base of this league, but the Alouettes didn't play a game under his ownership, I don't think. He bought the team at not a very good time, but a lot of people are asking, what does this mean to the ownership of the Alouettes moving forward? What do you know there, Justin?
It won't change anything. Gary Stern was a public face of it. And to be quite honest, you can't even find a picture of Sid Spiegel online. So Stern was the out in front guy as it was. They were so tight. And that was essentially a family steel business that they were running. So from what I've been told, there's not really going to be a change there because Stern was the vocal one and was leading the way. And those guys were so tight-knit as it was that they saw this as a smart decision when they bought the team back then and something they felt they could turn into an asset. So I would imagine Stern's going to continue on.
Hey, look, Justin, I've been firing questions at you. What do you have? What are you working on at 3 Down going into the long weekend here?
All right. Well, the absolute latest, and you mentioned the roster deadline at 10 p.m. Eastern time. And a lot of people where you guys are in Regina are wondering what's going to happen with the quarterback situation there. We know Cody Fajardo is going to be the starter, but behind him, the competition has been hot and heavy, just like your affection for the Dallas Cowboys, Roddy, but we'll save that for another day. So it seems like Isaac Harker has a leg up to be the backup there. All indications that I am getting is that Paxton Lynch has a really strong chance to make the roster there, that Mason Fine could go to the practice roster, and Tom Flacco might be the odd quarterback out. Now, that's not been exactly decided yet, and obviously nothing has been made official, but in terms of the quarterback situation there, that's how I've been told that it could unfold here.
And, of course, ideally, nobody plays but Cody Fajardo, but that wasn't the case the last year this all happened, right? They left it on Isaac Harker to win that last game to clinch first, and he did it. But the Paxton Lynch thing certainly stirred up a lot of good headlines in the United States. You've noticed that, right? And Tom Flacco, too, for that matter. There's been a lot of coverage in the States with these guys being in camp with the green and white.
Certainly. Lynch, much more so than Flacco, having been a first-round pick in the NFL. Obviously, Tom Flacco tied to his brother, the Super Bowl winner, Joe Flacco, who's still slinging in the NFL. But in terms of Lynch, like, we had the exact details of his contract numbers, put those out. Pro Football Talk picked it up. And then they've also picked up a number of our other articles talking about, Lynch finding it difficult initially in training camp to get adjusted to the CFL game. And then Lynch standing out in the green and white scrimmage. That last drive, he led them to a field goal and 7 for 10 on the day, which actually was the best completion percentage of the group. Shout out to Rob Vanstone for tracking those completions and yards and attempts and touchdowns and interceptions and all the rest. So Lynch certainly is the headline grabber for anybody south of the border.
1 week before this season kicks off, how serious are the injuries? How much of a concern are the injuries to guys like Bo Levi Mitchell, Andrew Harris, and the like, the guys that are not practicing right now?
Bo Levi Mitchell, to be quite honest, not really worried about. It's a tight groin. It's more something that they just don't want to get worse. So they're sitting him out knowing that Bo knows the system there, right? Him and Dave Dickinson have been together for a number of years. As for Andrew Harris, there is a little bit of worry whether he could be at 100%. But to be quite honest, guys, let's put it this way. If you guys were in that situation where you were going to run out in front of your hometown crowd after, essentially a 2-year layoff, and you were the reigning Grey Cup champions, the banner's going to drop, would you want to be on the sidelines, or would you want to be suited and booted and ready to roll with your boys? Because I tell you what I would want to do, and I'm sure that's what Andrew Harris is planning to do.
All right, well, we will watch for that. Week 1 is a week away. Justin, quick but very informative. Have a great weekend, my friend. I appreciate the time.
You bet, guys. Enjoy it out there, too.
Thank you. The number one source for CFL information, 3downnation.com. That is the owner, proprietor, and top insider right there.
You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.